Hello, I am Adam Blompier from WhatCulture.com, the face that runs the place, the chief with all the teeth, the king of the ding himself. And we're here with the WhatCulture Roundtable. It's a square table, it's round chat. I have no idea what I'm saying. And we're here to promote this beauty. It's episode 2, it's issue 2 of Wrestling, a magazine about wrestling. I'm joined by the editor, James Dixon. Hello, James Dixon.
Hello, Adam.
And I'm joined by the magazine's creative director, Mr. Adam Clary. Another Adam. Hello there.
Hello.
So, boys, we've done one of these before with issue 1. That went rather well, didn't it? People bought it.
Yes, they did, in their droves.
Evidently, yeah.
Yeah. So much so that we're going to do another little push for this because I believe you've kept the standard, well, at least the same as it was.
Yes. To the untrained eye, the standard is exactly as it was before.
If not better, of course.
Of course. It's blue now.
Yes, it is blue.
Why is it blue?
Because, I don't know, why is it blue? Because we didn't want to do red again.
Yeah, we didn't want to do red again, and we tried a couple of different colours, and it didn't really work with Brock's very blonde hair. So we were going to do yellow or orange because it was SummerSlam themed. This magazine is quite SummerSlam themed.
Well, you do not clash with
Didn't
Brock
work.
Lesnar, as Randy Orton himself found
Oh,
out.
Indeed.
Oh, what a transition. So, you've talked about it being a SummerSlam magazine. How is it a SummerSlam edition of the magazine?
Well, I remember the last time we did the top 100 matches of all time.
Yes.
Well, we went with the top 50 this time, and we did try to do a top 100 SummerSlam moments. But there aren't really 100 great SummerSlam
There's not 100 SummerSlam moments.
There aren't 100 great SummerSlam moments.
Not that you could justify easily of putting in. There are 100 moments, but you'd be really scraping the barrel, I think, to get 100 truly great ones. And memorable
So,
ones.
quality over quantity,
Yes,
lads,
we
is what you're saying.
compressed it down to 50 this time, because there were 50 great SummerSlam moments.
Absolutely. What else is in the magazine? So that, of course, is like the spine of the magazine, that list.
The big list is the feature each time.
Yeah.
You know, we always want at least 50, if not 100 each time of, great moments. We might do some bad moments at some point. We might do worst matches or something like that.
It kind of depends how long this goes for, doesn't it?
It
Because
does,
sooner or
really.
later we're going to run out of
We'll
good
run out of
things that
ideas.
happened.
And then we'll start repeating ourselves. So
Hooray.
Updated.
look forward to that.
Keep buying, folks. Of course, a huge step up from issue 1 is the fact that there are 2 contributions from Adam Blompier in this magazine.
There are this time. Actually, I got us one each this time for the table, so we didn't have to share like an underfunded primary school.
There's not only, of course, how WWE should have booked, which deals with Damien Sandow after winning Money in the Bank.
Our close,
Good friend of yours.
personal friend.
My close personal friend,
Damien
Sandow. But also, I've written a little piece about what it's like to book actual
Talk slowly
wrestling.
while I flick.
Not just fantasy booking. It's called From Fantasy to Reality. I talk about the challenges that we inevitably were going to come across when we decided to throw our hands at actually doing a proper wrestling.
Yep.
There were loads of lessons learned.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And you know what's interesting about that is it does go behind the scenes. We do admit our mistakes, or you do, but
Sure,
admit
absolutely.
our collective mistakes.
I mean,
And I think it'd be interesting for people to read from that
A
perspective.
tell-all insight into the world of WCPW.
I've got no shame. I'll hold my hands up and admit that there were some dodgy things happening at the beginning of WCPW.
And indeed you do.
And indeed, that's all in the magazine itself. What kind of contributors are we looking at this time round?
Oh, well, not just you. We've
me.
got some other pearls from
Some other people
inside
too.
the
God,
office.
we're really overselling this.
I don't know if you recognise this chap.
Is that Ross Tweddle, a.k.a. King Ross?
It is King Ross.
It
He's
turns
answered.
out right. As
Well as
shout.
shout.
Yes.
Is it
he's
all
an-
in caps, I assume?
It is.
Yeah.
He's
like-
answered a number of reader questions, which
Good
we've done
Lord.
for this one. And I don't know if you've heard of this guy,
Oh, God.
your perpetual nemesis, Jack G. King, the jobber.
Who, when the magazine came out, tweeted a picture of the magazine and a picture of his article and nothing else.
Well,
I'm just saying.
The relentless
I'm just saying.
self-promotion of
the
Jack the
relentless
Jobber.
self-promotion.
that is a good article as well. Fair
Yeah,
play, fair
we've
play
added
to the
those.
young lad.
We have the same guest columns as last time from Jim Cornette. It's a full column this time. You made up for last time being only half a page by doing 4. So that caused some last minute, oh Christ, we better do something here because we have a page count that we have to stick to. Shane Douglas as well, very interesting piece on ECW.
There's a fantastic article written about Japanese wrestling.
Yes, yeah. Michael Sidgwick, who works here in the FSC.
Yes, Michael's in here now.
He's done a really great piece on sort of the evolution of Puroresu from the olden days of Misawa, and I say olden days, but the 90s with Misawa, Kobashi, etc., dropping each other on the heads, which obviously didn't end so well for a couple of guys, including Misawa, who obviously sadly died in the ring. And how it's evolved with Tanahashi and Okada, and it's a much safer style, and it's more about psychology than big head drops, and very interesting, very well researched, very the kind of thing that we wanted when we started this magazine. A lot more exploring, behind the scenes a little bit more, and behind the angles that you see, and behind what you actually see on the screen in the ring.
Stuff that you tend not to read. Really.
Yeah, right. And I think he's done a great job. But there's a lot of stuff like that.
There's a broad spectrum of content in the magazine, which is one of the things I really enjoyed about reading issue 1. Is there's guys, well done to us all. But it's the stuff like. The touching piece on Chris Travers, and also Daniel Bryan, and then same with this, you've got Japanese wrestling, you've got, of course, and then you go to the mainstream stuff with SummerSlam. There's a lot in.
We've tried to find
book.
a mix. Yeah. We realize that not every wrestling fan's the same. Some people won't be interested in reading about Japanese wrestling. They only want to read about mainstream stuff. Some people don't want to read about any more mainstream stuff. They'd like to read more indie stuff. And there's a thing about WrestlePalooza in there. Which sort of covers that, an interview with Eric Cannon in there.
We've even gone into UFC stuff in this one, obviously, with Lesnar being the cover star. He's kind of synonymous with SummerSlam to me. I don't know if you guys have that as well. I kind of associate him with
SummerSlams, I would agree, yeah.
So we've gone into his UFC stuff as well. As obviously, last time we had Brian on the cover. We had 6 full pages on his career and stuff. And we've done sort of a similar piece for Lesnar in this, touching on UFC. And then there's other articles about UFC itself. So it does reach even wider.
Basically, wrestlers who became UFC or MMA fighters. We explore sort of how boxing and wrestling have been linked over the years as well, so that slightly different take on things. So there's a lot of different, very varied content in here. I think it'd be fascinating for people who don't know these stories or are just interested in learning more about the sort of history and behind the scenes of the business.
I didn't know any of this, and I found it fascinating.
Right.
A more ringing endorsement there could not be. Just out of interest, why do we have a magazine with China on the table?
This is just a quality comparison.
Is this your copy of Playboy?
This is the kind of, shiny, advert-filled, look at adverts, there's no content in this thing. This is an old magazine, I will say that.
Wow, that is some typesetting.
Big text. It's a mess. Whereas this,
brutal.
No adverts whatsoever, a ton of text, some unique images, pretty pictures,
it is beautiful. I mean, the art is as great as it was last time.
Yeah, the art's fun.
We said last time we can't say enough nice things about Bob, who does all the illustrations for us. He's doing them for WCPW now as well.
Of course, yeah.
It's pretty much impossible to miss Bob's work if you have anything to do with the site.
Bob.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he's great because I'll go in with stupid requests, and like in the last issue, can you draw me a picture of Santino Marella covered in a pie? For example, for a piece. So,
that never happened. And he was able to
that never happened. So that's Benoit versus Punk, which is this month's Fantasy Warfare, or this issue's Fantasy Warfare. Things like that. He's very creative. We just said, look, can you do me a picture of X and Y? And there it is. Magic just comes to life, and it really brings the stories to life that are in there as well.
It gives it a really different feel as well, because you had that on there before. It's all like stock photos. It's the handful of wrestling images you can get. Some of them aren't great quality. With this, we can do anything really, whether it happened or not.
Sure. I think we should talk about the top 50 a little bit.
Yes.
Sure. We all contributed. Who else, other than us in the office, put forward their selections?
Everybody, wrestlers, a lot of the WCPW talent did, a lot of wrestlers that, from America, mainstream wrestlers who we have contact with, promoters, fans, not just of the channel, but just of wrestling generally. Right. So we've tried to get a wide sort of range of people.
And with the magazine as well, there is a form for people to fill out for our next.
Next time out.
Right there. Right at the front. Don't worry, you're not cutting out anything interesting.
Just my
Adam's
just my only writing contribution to the whole thing. With this one we dropped it down a few pages because obviously we're only doing a top 50 this time. We didn't want to put filler in it as a result. But next time we're going to do another top 100, the 100 greatest wrestlers of all time, which is
gargantuan task.
As
a lot of anger.
But we wanted to keep it in the interest of fairness. We've got All the staff here have done it. All our freelancers have done it. We've been giving forms out to every wrestler we can find, everybody in the industry we can find.
That was fascinating, being at the most recent WCPW tapings and seeing what the wrestlers, who their top 10s
You get very
were.
different takes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to put individual excerpts, like actual just scans of some of the forms that the wrestlers have done,
Oh,
so you'll be able to see
great.
exactly what they've done. Some of them have even written little extra things. But we also wanted the readers and stuff, the fans, to also do their own.
course, so
So
you'd
on the
be
very
able to-
front page, there is a fill-out thing with how you can submit it.
I believe you
to
can.
online.
Can you
Cut
do
it out
this
and send
via
it in?
email and or
Yeah,
Twitter as well? I
we've
think.
set up a part of the website for it. You can do it
There's
via
an
email. You
online-
can tweet us it, or you can cut it out and send it in. There's an address.
If you
Yeah,
fancy going the
back
old-fashioned
in
way.
the olden day route.
If you're
yeah.
the last person in England who owns a stamp, you can do that.
So that's the next issue. So talking about the list in this issue, was there anything that majorly surprised you? I mean, obviously we're not going to go into the top one or top
Sure,
two, 'cause buy the magazine,
buy it and have a
please.
look, yeah.
Please, for the love of God, our kids need shoes. But yeah, so is there anything, considering it is written predominantly by British people, did that skew anything? Because I think what some people might be expecting to be up there, certainly.
It's certainly up there.
It's
I won't say
certainly up
where. There was the thing I found interesting was that the Owen Hart pile driver on Austin was considered a great moment by a lot of people. Or
Maniacs.
not great, but memorable. And I guess it is a memorable moment. It's a strange thing to rank.
Steve thought it was great.
Well, to be honest, it did help his career.
We
in
do
a
leave great
roundabout
up
way.
to
He became a
interpretation,
brawler,
though, don't we? I mean, we've specifically said that for the next one as well. Great is whatever people choose it to be. Obviously, it's not a great
Momentous.
moment,
It's
a man
loose.
breaking
It's
his neck, but
So, like for your top 100 greatest wrestlers, some people might think the greatest wrestler of all time is Dean Malenko. Some people might think it's Hulk Hogan. There's a difference. You know,
How do you
for an
qualify a
example,
wrestler? Yeah.
yeah, and it's not just WWE. It's, you know, people
Yeah,
might think
everyone.
Kabashi or Misawa. Some people might think, you know, someone from Mexico, El Sando, for example, or
Mark
No
Kirby.
Maskers. Some people might think like King Ross. Will spoiler alert.
I
King
think you're going to
Ross.
say some people
said-
might think King Ross is the
No,
greatest
no,
wrestler.
I would. Some people might, and inevitably now you've
He
said
does
it.
a mean
it's
shooting
gonna
star
be a-
press. You've got to really drag it out of him, though.
You do. So it could be anything. It's a very loose definition, and we always say in our big list in here, we leave it loose intentionally. You know, it's what does the person filling in the ballot think is the greatest or the best, or whether it be match, wrestler, moment, anything like that.
Well, let me ask you, because like we're not going to say what's in the magazine, but let's go around, and I just want to get your favorite SummerSlam moment.
Mine's kind of a boring one because, and I think it's quite a common one for a lot of people as well.
Right.
But it's Bret and Bulldog in '92 because that was the SummerSlam of my childhood and my fandom, you know, and especially being over here and everybody when I was a kid, everybody in school was talking about that match for months. It was all anybody could talk about, and it was always who'll win. Will Bulldog win? Will Bret win? You know, what'll happen? Will Bulldog win the title? Surely he won't win the title. You know, and it was just this constant debate and fights. You know, playground fights and reenactments
no.
about about this one match. No one cared about any of the rest of the card. It was all that, and the match obviously is so unbelievably great.
Yeah.
That's for me. That is top.
Adam Cleary.
I've
what
got a
about
much
you?
more boring answer to the TLC from start to finish.
The first
Me
TLC.
and all my
2000s,
friends
yeah.
stayed up for it. We were like, we were 13, 14. It was the first time we'd ever convinced our parents to let us watch a pay-per-view.
Nice.
There we were falling asleep, not really that interested in what was going on. And then TLC happened. And I think all of us just kind of like, I mean, that was the moment where it's like the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian were all you talked about. They were who you wanted to be in the playground now. It wasn't Austin and The Rock anymore.
Bit more dangerous to reenact that
Yeah.
one, mine. But
Yeah. Mine, obviously, Great Khali versus Batista.
Yo.
Just
There's always
See,
one.
that one.
There's always one.
Oh, what a world title match.
No.
Ended by DQ.
No way.
Yeah, the Great Khali hit him with a chair. Absolute classic moment.
I
No,
mean,
I'm
To
kidding.
be honest, there's quite a few from modern times have made it as well.
I'm a big fan of John Cena versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Just for how weird it is.
Yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
bizarre.
and that's up there. That's
Yeah.
in
I was
there.
actually surprised at that putting this together because when we did the greatest matches, it was I probably wasn't, but it felt like it was weighted to more recent stuff. There was a lot more stuff I'd heard of that in there that I thought I would. Whereas this,
Work rate's
some of it
improved.
was like way back stuff I hadn't even heard of.
There was stuff from '88 all the way
yeah.
through. I think there's something from at least every SummerSlam in that top 50.
Great.
Which is pretty impressive considering
Yeah.
there's, we're getting on for 30 of them nearly. No, not quite, but getting on for 30 of them. So I think it's quite phenomenal that there'll be 30 moments over these 50s.
A testament to the incredible taste of the people we have put these things together.
Yes, not tailored in any way to fit a narrative.
No, sir.
I mean, there's some interesting ones, some silly little ones like Undertaker's laugh last year.
It's a great moment.
Great moment, but like
It will stick with you forever,
It does. It's just such a silly little thing. I mean, and then to ask a writer to write about that. Can you write about Undertaker sitting up and laughing?
We need 200 words
Yeah,
about it.
200 words, please. And, yeah, Jesus Christ. So that was a challenge. But for the most part, I mean, the very interesting moments, probably what you'd expect. A couple that you maybe wouldn't.
I hope Jon Stewart's double appearances are back-to-back.
I mean, I don't want to put people off buying this, but that's not in there.
Oh, shit.
That was 51.
Oh,
That was 51.
by a whisker.
The match, Seth and Cena may be in there.
Mm.
And the
Great
fact that
match.
Seth won all the gold. But no, I don't think the actual Jon Stewart specific moment
No,
is
it's just these,
Sorry,
is
John,
in
if you're
there.
watching.
So,
these fans have such a short
I mean,
memory.
obviously, if we'd done this, a couple of months later to include, because it doesn't include this year's SummerSlam, there is deadlines and such. Obviously, his promo would have made it this year.
Or Big E drinking the testicle juice.
Yes.
One hopes.
Would, out of interest, would you have put anything from this year's SummerSlam in the top 50
I'd put Styles versus Cena in there very, very happily.
as a moment? Could the fact that Styles beat him?
I would, yeah.
I'd say Styles.
I would as well.
The fact that he
Styles
went over
kicking out.
clean,
Styles
definitely.
kicking out of the Super AA. That doesn't often happen.
Cena's reaction.
That was Cena's reaction.
That was. It looked like he just sort of needed rebooting. It was like,
does look
he's
like he
crashed. Would you? What about the finish for the main?
Randy versus
This guy,
Randall versus Broctopus.
Randall. Octopus, that's the one.
It's a hell of a moment.
Yeah,
It's-
I wouldn't have put
it's
it in there,
memorable.
but I suspect it would have.
I
made its
think
way
it'd
in.
have made
it's
there,
as
yeah.
great as Austin getting his neck nearly broken.
It'll be talked about for
But it was planned.
probably longer than.
I
stuff
know,
that's in
I
it
know,
now.
but it's like it was. I wouldn't call it fun, and I don't think anyone.
No,
I don't think
no.
it should have been the final moment of the night. But like, I wasn't expecting it. A TKO finish to the main event at SummerSlam.
Well, do you know what I think is interesting about that finish? And the reason I say this is because next issue in my head, I've already got an idea of writing an article about blading versus, how it's sort of
The
been phased out.
old-fashioned way.
And I would argue the safer way, because I know why they don't do it, why they don't blade. If they do, they've got sponsors going, oh, they're cutting themselves, they're maiming themselves. Oh, we don't really want to touch that. How is that worse than he's elbowing him repeatedly as hard as he can in the face until he bleeds?
Oh, it's much more barbaric.
Deliberately
And also
as well.
concussions. It's like, I just don't get the logic behind, don't cut yourself with a little blade and that'll heal immediately and you'll be fine, compared to, let's knock this guy almost legitimately out until he bleeds.
Let's let a 300-pound man sit on you and hit you at the sharpest point of his body
Right.
until it creates the same effect.
It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. I think that'll probably make for
A
an
neat
interesting
cut.
article.
That's-
to be
I
honest.
can't wait to read that personally.
Yes.
When issue
And,
3 comes out in-
as far as articles go, we are very keen to sort of have fan suggestions for this magazine. It's very much a magazine that we will. So there's other magazines out there like this, but we will take suggestions and we will sort of commission articles based on what people would like to read.
Indeed, let
if
us
we
know
think it works.
in the comments. In fact, beneath
Yeah,
the video,
yeah.
and,
We
we
don't
will
really read the comments, as what culture viewers know, though.
They will
So-
be read to us at some point, though. I understand.
Absolutely,
Someone will sift through.
they'll be funneled to us. One last thing I didn't realize about. I learnt from this magazine is that Brock Lesnar's middle name is Edward,
Yes, it is.
as emblazoned on the back. I've been looking at it the entire video.
I popped
It's
that
a,
little token
it's
on.
a quotation from Brock Edward Lesnar. What does it say? I put my heart and soul into
Do it in the
this.
voice.
I want to be I don't know his voice. I want to be a great fighter. I want to be a great entertainer. People pay good money to watch us get in there and go at it. So love me, hate me, whatever. I mean, words I live by, certainly.
Absolutely.
How did that compare to the quote he gave you in person?
They've got a couple more words in it.
I enjoyed that interview. I would just want to bring that interview up because I thought at first he was not selling anything you asked him until you basically went, you know what, sod it.
Are you even asked?
So Brock, when did you basically sell out? you know, when did you stop caring about wrestling and just think money, 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 money? And I thought he was going to kill you.
Yeah.
Did you think he was going to kill
Yeah.
you?
I don't know. I don't know why I asked that.
was a
'Cause I
great
think
question.
I got the impression that because he was being all surly and stuff. And Paul Heyman wasn't. The reason why I went a little bit confrontational at the start was because I expected Paul Heyman to jump in, start doing the whole ringmaster shtick. Wasn't having any of it. Fair enough. But then I got the impression that he was sort of in like kayfabe mode. Like he's a mercenary. His whole thing is that I turn up, kick ass, get my paycheck, and go home.
And that's a shoot.
Yes. So I just thought, why not go down that road? But yeah, he didn't kill me, which is
I
handy.
think his reaction was like, huh.
It was hard.
right.
It was really hard to watch in point. Like it was as hard as the finish to SummerSlam to watch in points.
Thank you.
But I think you did as good a job in that situation
I
as
thought it was
Randy
good.
Orton
The
did.
interview equivalent of
Yes.
him pinning me down and elbowing me in the head.
We're
I felt like
all
it.
proud of you.
Thank you, pal.
And you can read all about his other similar scenarios backstage and with people in octagons and rings and such in the large Brock Lesnar career piece, obviously.
It's probably
which is one
worth
of the
pointing
features.
out. We normally say, go to shop.whatculture for this, but in sort of as a result of the tremendous response we had to the first one, we're now in WH Smiths as well.
That's right. We are in Smiths
Not all of
across
them.
the country.
Not every single
Not every
Smiths.
Smiths.
There is a select couple of hundred in various different areas.
The bigger ones, I think. By the
I
looks
believe it's the bigger ones, dotted around the UK, not in America
Only
or
the
anywhere
bigger
else.
ones.
Only the
Sorry,
bigger
but just in England.
If your Smiths has a second floor, it's probably got wrestling, I think, is the way I'm looking at it.
Yes, yeah. And if you could buy that, that would be great.
Yes, please do buy the magazine. That would be wicked.
And then we'll do more.
Yeah, we'll do
Then
more.
we'll do more.
When are we doing? Is it November? We'll have the next one out by.
Whenever 3 months from now is, we will have another issue of wrestling.
Yes.
That's November.
If you
Yes.
buy them in droves, and please do, but also, goddamn, it'll probably be in 2 months. So, and then
So buy lots, but not too many, because
That's them. Look, can you see? That is them. They've just turned up.
have you ever seen what 10,000 magazines looks like?
is it that?
That's
way?
what
No.
10,000 magazines look
No,
like.
it isn't.
No, that's
That's
how-
what 4,000 looks
Oh
like.
my god!
Oh, yes, because Smiths have the rest.
Smiths
don't
have the rest.
Oh sweet baby
So,
Jesus!
Credit to Mr. Michael Sidgwick for carting them all up here.
Himself?
I don't know if it was
that
himself,
happen?
but I think it was without much help. So,
Wow.
well, we were all
sir.
at WCPW or wherever it was.
Oh, when they turned up. Oh,
Yeah.
no, everybody helped.
Did they?
Yes.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, taking credit now.
Yes, you were there.
No, I
No,
wasn't.
you weren't. You were there.
No, he
No,
wasn't.
he wasn't. I was there.
We were there
Oh,
when,
really?
we were
Oh,
there
so
when the
you
board
helped.
game
I
arrived.
helped. Oh,
We
no,
helped out
yes.
the board game
The
upstairs.
what?
The
The
what?
What Culture board game.
The what?
Oh no!
Just when you thought we couldn't sell you any more stuff. So, do buy wrestling. It would be lovely to have money to pay wrestlers. Do also buy What Culture
So
board
yeah,
game.
you feed that
Yeah, we'll get
belief
onto
that
that.
all of these things that we do, the board game, the magazine, the books, we're just funding our, ego-driven tirade of bringing in wrestlers for you to do angles with, and that's what everyone believes anyway.
Damien Sandow's coming in. I want a promo with him.
I've got my own bath towel.
Tune into Stack this week, folks, to see Adam Blompier and Eric Bischoff share a screen.
It's the promo the fans demanded. So that's about all, I reckon. Do give the magazine a buy. That'll be lovely. You can catch us. Where can you catch us? You can catch me at Adam the Blompier on Twitter.
At Adam Cleary.
And you don't want people looking for you
Don't
online.
look for me on Twitter
No, just
or
don't.
anywhere. Just leave me alone.
Just buy the magazine.
You're in here, though.
I'm not. The Twitter and there's not mine. Sorry.
Down the rabbit hole he goes. Shop.whatculture.com and at select stores.
If they don't have
Of
it,
W.H.
Smiths,
Smith.
ask them for it.
Yeah,
Ask them
demand
for
it.
Demand it.
Make a scene.
So that's issue 2 of wrestling. We'll see you for another one of these for issue 3. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Titan Screwed is the final book in the Titan trilogy, acclaimed for providing fans with rare backstage and insider stories from mid-90s WWE, a time of turbulence, wrestlers infighting, and ultimately betrayal. Written by James Dixon and Justin Henry, Titan Screwed covers 1997, featuring in-depth stories about Steve Austin nearly paralyzing himself at SummerSlam, WWF forming a brief partnership with ECW, and of course, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and the Montreal Screwjob, which has never received better coverage than in this book. As with all merch, Titan Screwed can be picked up at shop.whatculture.com.